Hello, we are Team 35 and we worked on the project named Mitigating Social Bias in Large Language Models by Self-Improvement. The presence of social bias in the outputs of language models is a critical issue that has raised significant attention, leading to the development of various evaluation methods and datasets. However, effectively mitigating this bias remains a challenging task, with relatively few approaches successfully addressing the problem. This challenge is exacerbated by the complexity of modern large language models, where directly modifying model parameters is often impractical. To deal with this problem, in this project, we investigated if recently arising self-improvement methods for language models could effectively mitigate the social bias in their output. One of the representative self-improvement methods is self-consistency, which enhances chain-of-thought reasoning by sampling multiple reasoning paths and selecting the most consistent answer. Another important method is self-refine, which iteratively improves a language model's output by generating, providing feedback, and refining the response until it reaches a desired level of performance.
These are the prompts we used for the feedback generation and response refinement. We manually crafted the detailed guide for the evaluation of our specific task as the authors did. As we highlighted in yellow, we specified that the answer might be wrong because of relying on social stereotypes or reading comprehension error. We followed the original paper for the other parts of the prompts. Another method, recursive criticism and improvement, iteratively generates outputs, critiques them for errors, and improves the outputs based on self-identified issues. This is an example prompt and output of our experiment. The model can find problems with its biased answer and improve it based on its own critiques. For the evaluation dataset, we use BBQ, which is designed to evaluate social bias in question answering systems. The dataset is broadly divided into two types of contexts, ambiguous and disambiguated. As shown in the example, if an answer to the question is clear according to the context, it falls into the disambiguated context. On the other hand, if the context alone is insufficient to provide an answer, it belongs to the ambiguous context, where options of unknown should be selected. Since the context types differ, metrics including accuracy are measured separately for each type of context. The bias score is calculated to determine whether the language model responds unfairly to bias-targeted questions. A score closer to 0 indicates greater fairness. For the language models, we use Llama 2 7B Chat HF and Llama 3 8B Instruct. For the bias mitigation methods, we use self-consistency, self-refine, and recursive criticism and improvement. These are the results. First of all, we observed that Llama 3 is generally less biased than Llama 2 across the aspects of accuracy and bias scores. The effects of each self-improvement method differed between the two models. For instance, while the self-refinement technique yielded good performance in Llama 2, it did not improve the performance of Llama 3. Overall, Llama 3 tended to show a decline in performance when self-improvement techniques were applied. This suggests that applying self-improvement techniques to models that already demonstrate high performance might lead to a decrease in their performance. In summary, we examine how self-improvement techniques affect social biases in LLMs using Llama 2 and 3. While these methods had mixed effects on accuracy, they generally worsened bias scores. Llama 3 showed strong performance but amplified bias when self-improvement methods were applied. Due to resource constraints, our experiments were limited in scope, and we observed accuracy drops in certain tasks. Moving forward, we plan to test with larger models and more diverse datasets, aiming to develop self-improvement methods that better address social bias in large language models. Thank you for listening, and feel free to contact us if you have questions.